So let's get into our first topic now. Do you think we should be giving fat jabs to more children? 0207 862 2222 is the number that you need to let me know your thoughts. So for the first time, there are more children in the world who are obese than there are underweight children. A study by the children's charity Unicef has found that 1 in 10 of those aged between 5 and 19 years old are believed to be obese. Researchers says that heavy reliance on ultra-processed food is largely to blame. But focusing in the UK, it's estimated around 1 in 5 of every children aged 10 to 11 are obese, putting them at higher risk, of course, of things like type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and certain cancers in later life. So is it time to take drastic action and give more of them weight loss medication? Some children are already prescribed the medication, but do we need to roll it out more widely? Angie, what do you think?
This topic, I feel so passionately about it when we're talking about fat loss jabs when it comes to adults. For children, this just saddens me. Ultimately, when we look at obesity and the rising case of obesity, it's primarily, not always, primarily environmental, social factors. Our job in society is to shape children, allow them to build long-term relationships with things like food, physical movement, take ownership and positive relationships with things that they're going to be exposed to constantly. The way forward is a long-term programme of intervention, role modelling and showcasing how we can reduce ultra-processed foods, how we can promote physical movement without the need for jabs, which is going to, in the long term, I guarantee you, cause more issues mentally, physically, and it's going to be creating a culture of short-term fixes which will not help these children.
Carole, what do you think? Is it dangerous?
All, Andrew, you can't guarantee anything because you don't know enough about the job to guarantee anything about what's going to happen in the future. But the bottom line is, what you've just described there, what we should be doing with the kids and food, isn't what should happen in an ideal world. But we don't live in an ideal world. We live in a world where currently we have an obesity epidemic, where we have 30% of children between 5 and 15 who are overweight. Yes. We have children who will die before their parents. We have children of 5 years old, they have sleep apnea, they have chest problems, they have breathing problems, all because they're obese. Now, yes, education should sort that and the kind of foods they should sort of, but they're living with parents who are feeding them junk food. And that's the bottom line, and that's the reality of it. So what would you rather do, that these kids die? Because every organ of a child's body is affected by obesity, every single organ, and it damages their organs as they're growing. And studies now show that a child who is overweight grows into an overweight and a severely obese adult in 85% of cases.
So then why are we going to overlay this with something which we don't know long-term actually works? What we do know is a short-term intervention, and once you come off it,
it's not a short-term intervention.
If you have not formed a better relationship with food, what you do find is a loss in muscle as well as a loss in fat. So when you go back on, well, exactly. So we still need to address the root problem.
There was an obesity forum in Spain recently where all the European countries met and okayed it for children as young as 6. Children who are severely obese. There's been a big experiment that's been done in Sweden where the kids lost 16% of their body weight. And one of the doctors involved in the obesity forum in Spain, a guy called Professor Carole Malone, he said it's not about losing weight, it's about gaining health. And he's talking about the problem with kids, small kids, on their joints, on their organs.
Let me ask you this, Carole. Of course, kids that are severely obese, that may be the best thing, perhaps, to help them shed that weight in order to get them to exercise, in order to buy that time to educate them properly in their relationship with food and exercise, etc. But do you worry, knowing, as you said, we don't live in an idealistic world that all these things should be happening of their own accord? Do you worry, knowing how the world works, that this is just going to be a simple solution? You no longer have to worry about going after food manufacturers and ultra-processed
Let me stop
foods.
you there.
You just give everybody a pill and we're fine.
The fat jabs are not a simple solution because you still have to work to make it work. Now, you guys know that I lost weight on the jab, and I did it through a company called Juniper, which is a company which gives you health advice, gives you advice that maybe some parents don't know.
Yeah.
So you would be monitored the whole way through.
So
if you do,
accompanied by
still
proper
needed.
nutritionist
Of course.
information.
But nutritionists...
That you're talking idealistically too. That's
No,
wonderful
I'm
that
not.
you've got that, but not everyone's going
stop,
to have that.
Please. I'm talking factually. So the company that I did with gives nutritional advice. Okay. That's a fact.
All right. Let's go to the courts because a lot of people want to give us their thoughts. Tony is in Essex. Tony, good morning. What do you think? Do you think it's a good idea to start giving these weight loss jabs to kids?
Well, no, it's not a good idea, really, because basically the reason the kids are getting a lot fatter is about basically the diets in the school. And basically what they're doing is they've gone away from really good food and they're taking away the physical education. Back when we was at school, we was fed healthy and we did PE 4 times a week, but they don't do that no more. They took away the competition.
Tony, you're blaming schools. What about parents? It's a parent's responsibility to keep their child at a healthy weight, surely.
But you didn't let me finish. I was going to say, it's also about the parents. The parents now take their kids to school in a car. They only live 500 yards away, okay? They're not making them walk to school. They're not giving them the right food. And they let them get stuck in their room playing on the computer rather than playing out.
Okay, but Tony,
more physical education and more PE and after-school PE, the children would do.
Okay, Tony, what parents will be telling you? And we've done these topics on this show before. We've talked about childhood obesity. They'll say, look, they're time poor. They're often trying to hold down a couple of jobs. They will maintain that actually healthy food costs more. It also needs a lot more knowledge about how to put together healthy food. And actually, a lot of the communities, particularly around schools, are flooded with junk and cheap, ultra-processed foods.
It's exactly that.
Yeah, but that's, again, my parents both worked, okay? And that's to say, to produce healthy food costs more money. It doesn't cost more money.
He's right. He's absolutely right.
It doesn't cost no idea. You can cook a healthy meal from fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, fresh fish, and a typical right. I had sea bass last night. Okay,
nice.
With vegetables. Yeah, with vegetables. I poached it in milk, had vegetables and mashed potato. And that works out to £3.75.
Tony, you're not going to get any argument from me on that. Thank you for the call. I'm not going to argue with that, but it does need time and also knowledge of how to do these things. Margaret's in Hampshire. Margaret, welcome to the show. What are your thoughts?
Oh, hello. I feel very strongly about it, and I do agree that parents have got to be a bit more responsible for children.
Yeah.
After all, let's say what's the age 5 and 6, you won't get a child going in, finding money and going in and buying too many sweets.
Yeah.
Now, I'm 88, and I was born 2 years before World War, and then there was 6 or 7 years of rationing.
Yeah.
And luckily, well, in a way, my dad wasn't called up because he sat on a light ship in the middle of the ocean and he was away a month and home a month. And we had an allotment going all the time. Mum and I used to keep it going while he was at sea. So all our food was organic. And I'm very fit at 88. I walk everywhere, incredibly fit. My eyesight's good.
So what's the problem, Margaret? Where do you think we're going wrong?
Because parents have got the right. If you love a child, you care about what they eat. Why not have a little ration book like we had a ration book?
But Margaret, what is it? First of all, I completely agree with you. My mum has an allotment and she brings over produce for the kids and, we're wonderfully privileged to have that.
Yes.
For parents now in this new generation where, both parents often work, should the question not be how can we make it easier for them to feed their children well? How can we support them in the way that where they're more time poor now than ever before? And should we be removing responsibility away from the government, which is what we will be doing, if we say, right, government, you continue to advertise, junk food and ultra-processed foods, make it cheaper, when what we really want to do is make, access to that, like I said, organic allotment food cheaper, accessible.
Can I just say that parents are not any more time poor than they were when I was a kid. My parents, my mum had 2 jobs and my dad had 2 jobs. And you still have to do one supermarket shop. So when you do it, make it a good one.
But,
make it healthy food.
I agree with you, Carole, in the sense that, my mum singly raised us and, with the little that we had, she managed to do this.
Of course.
But that for me was privilege because she knew how to. So I just think it's still about support, providing that village to parents.
If you have kids,
we want the
learn
same
how to cook.
outcome. So let's
don't
not
have
do it
kids
via
if you don't know how to
jabs.
cook and you don't know how to feed them. Don't have them.
OK, pause there. Margaret, thank you. Great to hear about the allotment. Daniel is in Sussex. Daniel, welcome to the show. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. My thoughts are very much it's a no.
Yeah.
Shouldn't give children the jabs because I think that you run the risk of them becoming dependent on it.
Yeah. But what if it's accompanied with what Carole's saying? What if it's accompanied with
nutritional
further
advice.
education, nutritional information, getting people to start exercising a bit? I mean, the argument is should be, why isn't that working anyway without the fat jab? But Daniel, what if it's accompanied with more information?
Well, I think all this information should be supplied earlier to children, earlier to parents. We shouldn't get to be the point to where they're getting to that size. And my worry as a parent would be that if you give the jab once, then they'll want it next time and the next time. They're looking for that quick, cheap answer.
Daniel,
it's like...
Daniel, what's the alternative? Are you going to let a child who's 5 grow into be an obese 11-year-old and then a grossly obese adult who is going to die early because of all the obesity-related diseases? Is that what you'd rather have?
No, I would rather have we have children making better choices for themselves.
Absolutely.
And having better role models.
But then
it's not happening.
You said, what's the alternative? The alternative is subsidising whole foods. It's limiting junk food marketing. It's improving our food systems. It's promoting...
You're living in la-la land, Andrew. It's not going to happen.
It's not la-la land. It's government responsibility.
I'm going to bring us
accountability.
back from la-la land. Daniel, thank you, because we're going to go to Wiltshire instead of la-la land. Sarah's there waiting to speak to us. Sarah, what are your thoughts? Should we be giving weight loss jabs to kids?
No, I don't think we should be doing that. I don't think we should be, because we don't know enough about them to be actually giving them to children, let alone adults.
Oh, we do, actually. Lots of studies have been done. We do.
Okay, no, that's fine. I don't know that. But what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of foods out there, as you probably well know, that used to be what would be good foods that are now being made into processed foods or watered down or put other stuff in to make them look nice, taste nice, whatever. I think that a lot of places and a lot of these companies should actually be penalised for the fact that they're actually making what would be good foods, bad foods, and making them much more cheaper, because obviously they're not having enough good stuff in, and making the good stuff expensive. So as parents can actually choose the good stuff, make stuff, like Carole was saying, make her own foods for children, but be able to buy stuff that's actually good in the first place, rather than having to go around the store all the time and looking at labels to actually work out what they're saying.
Sarah, you're absolutely spot on right, but it's never going to happen. The government is not going to clamp down on food companies. It's just not going to happen.
But it definitely won't happen
and
if we
in the
don't hold them
meantime,
accountable.
Children will die.
So then why are we allowing that to happen to children? When you look at the definition of an ultra-processed food, people don't actually understand. What is it? It's industrial formalised...
But every time you put the question, should we fine food companies that produce ultra-processed food? Should we charge them? People say no, we don't want to live in a nanny state.
On that. Let's subsidise whole foods. We've all got the same interests at
heart. We're £3.5 million in debt, Andrew. We can't subsidise whole foods.
So why should we fund fat loss jabs? We shouldn't be funding fat loss jabs. I'm
not saying the government should fund fat loss jabs or the NHS.
Well, I tell you what,
I'm saying people should fund fat loss jabs.
All right, I'm going to leave it there because we've got to move on. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you all for your calls on this.